Welcome to Stoic Today, where transformation begins not with noise, but with clarity. Before you go any further, take a moment to do something powerful for your future. Click the subscribe button, leave a meaningful comment, and allow this message to ignite a deeper level of awareness and growth in your life. Thank you for being here. Your time is valuable, and this content was created to honor it. Now, let's go deeper. Please continue listening to the wonderful content below. Persevere to overcome all challenges to achieve wealth, success, happiness, and a fulfilling life. Please listen to the next great content. Today, I want to talk to you about a simple yet powerful shift that can transform your life, learning to stop being too nice. Now, I'm not asking you to be unkind or selfish. I'm asking you to protect the light that shines within you, so that it doesn't burn out trying to illuminate everyone else too. Nice is a term often used to describe people who constantly put others' needs before their own, often at the expense of their own happiness, well-being, or priorities. While kindness is undoubtedly one of the most admirable qualities a person can have, there is a significant difference between being kind and being too nice. Understanding this distinction is essential. If you want to live a balanced, fulfilled, and authentic life, kindness is a strength. To the ability to empathize, to show compassion, and to uplift others. When you're kind, you add value to the lives of those around you. You become a source of light and positivity in a world that desperately needs it. But kindness should never mean diminish in your own light. If you find yourself constantly giving, constantly accommodating, and constantly saying yes, even when it drains you, that's no longer kindness, that's self-sacrifice. And over time, self-sacrifice can lead to burnout, frustration, and even resentment. Being too nice often stems from a desire to avoid conflict or a fear of rejection. Many of us were raised to believe that being liked by everyone is a measure of our worth. We internalize the idea that saying no or standing up for our own needs makes us selfish or rude, but nothing could be further from the truth. True kindness isn't about people-pleasing. It's about showing love and respect for both others and yourself. When you're kind, you can still maintain your integrity, your priorities, and your boundaries. People who are too nice often feel obligated to take on more than they can handle. They may say yes to every request, offer help even when they're already overwhelmed, and avoid voicing their own needs because they don't want to inconvenience anyone. While this behavior may seem noble on the surface, it's not sustainable. It depletes your energy, limits your ability to focus on your own goals, and can even erode your sense of self-worth. If you're constantly giving without receiving, you're not being kind. You're enabling others to take advantage of your generosity. It's important to recognize that being too nice can also have unintended consequences. When you prioritize everyone else's needs over your own, you may unintentionally teach others to expect more from you than they should. You may create an environment where your time, energy, and efforts are undervalued over time. This can lead to feelings of frustration and resentment, not only toward others, but also toward yourself, or allowing it to happen. True kindness requires balance. It's about giving from a place of abundance, not depletion. Imagine your kindness as a well. If you allow others to draw from it endlessly without replenishing it, the well will eventually run dry. On the other hand, if you take the time to care for yourself, to set boundaries, and to replenish your own energy, you'll be able to give generously and sustainably. Understanding the difference between kindness and being too nice also means recognizing that kindness isn't about being liked by everyone. It's about doing what's right, even when it's not easy or popular. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is to say no, or to hold someone accountable for their actions. Sometimes being kind means prioritizing your own well-being so that you can continue to show up for others in a meaningful way. One of the most powerful realizations you can have is that you are not responsible for everyone else's happiness. While it's wonderful to bring
joy to others, their happiness is ultimately their own responsibility. Your job is to take care of yourself first so that you can contribute to the world in a way that is healthy, meaningful, and sustainable. By doing so, you set an example for others to follow you, Show them that it's possible to be kind and compassionate while still honoring your own needs. So if you find yourself being too nice, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself why you feel the need to always say yes. Is it because you genuinely want to help, or is it because you're afraid of disappointing someone? Are you acting out of love and compassion, or are you acting out of guilt and obligation? Understanding your motivations is the first step toward finding balance. When you start to prioritize your own well-being, you may worry that others will think you're selfish or uncaring, but the truth is, those who truly value and respect you will understand. They will appreciate your honesty, your strength, and your authenticity. And as you begin to live in alignment with your own values and priorities, you'll find that your kindness becomes even more powerful. It will no longer come from a place of fear or obligation, but from a place of genuine love and compassion. Kindness should uplift both the giver and the receiver. If your kindness is leaving you feeling drained, unappreciated, or resentful, it's time to reevaluate. Remember, you can only give your best to others when you've taken care of yourself first. By understanding the difference between kindness and being too nice, you empower yourself to live a life that is balanced, fulfilling, and true to who you are. Boundaries are an essential part of maintaining healthy relationships and a balanced life. They are not barriers meant to shut people out, but rather guidelines that define how you interact with others while respecting your own needs and limits. Establishing and maintaining boundaries is a sign of self-respect and self-awareness. It shows that you value your time, energy, and well-being, and it helps others understand how to treat you without boundaries. It's easy to lose yourself in the demands and expectations of others, leaving you feeling overwhelmed, undervalued, and even resentful. The absence of boundaries often stems from a desire to please others or avoid conflict. Many people worry that setting limits might make them seem selfish, rude, or unkind. However, the reality is quite the opposite. Boundaries are not about being harsh or rejecting others. They are about ensuring that your relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding. When you set boundaries, you're not only protecting yourself, but also fostering healthier and more meaningful connections with the people around you. One of the most common misconceptions about boundaries is that they are rigid or inflexible. In truth, boundaries can be both firm and compassionate. They can adapt to different situations and relationships, but they always serve the same purpose: to honor your values, needs, and priorities. Setting boundaries requires you to first understand yourself, what you value, what you're comfortable with, and what you're willing to accept. This self-awareness is the foundation of effective boundary setting. Establishing boundaries begins with clear communication. Many conflicts and misunderstandings arise because people assume others know what they want or need. However, no one can read your mind if you don't express your limits. You can't expect others to respect them. Communicating your boundaries doesn't have to be confrontational or dramatic. It can be as simple as saying, "I need some time to recharge after work," or "I'm not comfortable discussing that topic." The key is to be clear, consistent, and respectful in how you communicate. Another important aspect of boundaries is the ability to say no without guilt. For many, say no feels uncomfortable, as if they're letting someone down or being unreasonable, but saying no is an essential part of maintaining boundaries. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're saying no to something that does. Learning to say no confidently and kindly is a skill that can transform your life. It allows you to protect your time and energy while ensuring that you're aligned with your goals and values. When you set boundaries, it's natural to encounter resistance from others, especially if they're used to you always accommodating their needs. People may push back, test your limits, or even accuse you of being selfish. This reaction doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're changing the dynamics of the relationship over time. As you consistently uphold your boundaries, most people will come to respect it, and those who don't may not have your best interest at heart. It's also important to recognize that boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from others. They're also about taking responsibility for your own behavior. Respecting others' boundaries is just as important as setting your own. When someone expresses their all and limits, honor them without judgment or resentment. By respecting boundaries on both sides, you create an environment of mutual trust and understanding. Boundaries are not only crucial in personal relationships, but also in professional settings. At work, boundaries help you manage your workload. Maintain a healthy work-life balance and avoid burnout. For example, you might set boundaries around answering emails after hours or taking on additional responsibilities that exceed your capacity. These boundaries allow you to perform at your best. Without compromising your well-being, setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first. Especially if you're not used to advocating for yourself, you might worry about how others will react or fear that you're being too harsh. But over time, you'll realize that boundaries are an act of self-care and self-respect. They empower you to take control of your life, prioritize what matters most, and build relationships that are truly supportive. And enriching boundaries are a reflection of your values and your worth. When you setting up whole boundaries, you're telling yourself and others that your needs matter, that your time is valuable, and that you deserve to be treated with respect. This self-empowerment not only enhances your relationships, but also boosts your confidence and sense of fulfillment. By embracing boundaries, you to create a life that aligns with your authentic self and supports your overall well-being. The people-pleasing trap is a pattern of behavior that many fall into. Often without even realizing it, it stems from a deep desire to make others happy, avoid conflict, and maintain harmony in relationships. While the tension behind people-pleasing may seem noble, the reality is that it often comes at a significant personal cost. Constantly prioritizing others' needs over your own can lead to emotional exhaustion, a lack of fulfillment, and even resentment. To break free from this cycle, it's essential to understand why it happens, recognize its consequences, and take intentional steps to overcome it. People-pleasing often originates from a fear of rejection or disapproval. Many people that if they say no or express their true feelings, they will upset others, damage relationships, or be viewed as selfish. This fear can be deeply ingrained, sometimes rooted in childhood experiences where approval and love felt conditional. Over time, the habit of people-pleasing becomes second nature, and it can feel almost impossible to put yourself first without feeling guilty. One of the key characteristics of people-pleasing is an over-reliance on external validation. People pleasers derive a sense of self-worth from being liked, needed, or appreciated by others. They may feel compelled to say yes to every request, offer help, even when they're already overwhelmed, and avoid expressing their own needs or opinions to keep the peace. While this behavior may temporarily earn approval or gratitude, it often leads to feelings of being unappreciated or taken advantage of in the long run. A major consequence of people-pleasing is the gradual erosion of your own identity. When you constantly mold yourself to meet others' expectations, you lose touch with who you truly are and what you genuinely want. You may find yourself saying yes to things you don't enjoy, agreeing with opinions you don't believe in, or taking on responsibilities that don't align with your values or priorities. Over time, this disconnect can leave you feeling empty, unfulfilled, and uncertain about your own goals and desires. Another significant downside of people-pleasing is the toll it takes on your emotional and physical well-being. Constantly striving to meet others' expectations can be exhausting, leaving little time or energy for self-care. You may find yourself feeling drained, anxious, or even resentful toward those you're trying to please. This resentment is not necessarily a reflection of the other person's actions, but rather of your own unmet needs and the imbalance of the relationship. People-pleasing can also hinder your relationships in unexpected ways. While it may seem like saying yes to everything will strengthen your connections, it often has the opposite effect. When you don't express your true thoughts or feelings, you prevent others from truly knowing and understanding you. This lack of authenticity can create superficial relationships that lack depth and mutual respect. Additionally, by always putting others first, you may unintentionally teach them to take your kindness for granted or to expect more from you than is reasonable. Breaking free from the people-pleasing trap requires a shift in mindset and behavior. The first step is to recognize that your worth is not determined by how much you do for others or how well you meet their expectations. You are inherently valuable. Regardless of whether everyone likes you or agrees with your decisions, building this sense of self-worth from within is crucial to overcoming the need for external validation. It's important to learn how to set boundaries and say no without guilt. This doesn't mean you stop being kind or helpful. It means you choose when and how to give based on what feels right for you. Saying no can be challenging at first, but it's a necessary skill for protecting your time, energy, and well-being. Remember, every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're saying yes to something that does. Another key step is to practice honest and open communication instead of automatically agreeing to requests or suppressing your True feelings take a moment to consider what you really want or need. If something doesn't work for you, express it calmly and respectfully. For example, you might say, I'd love to help, but I'm already stretched thin right now, or I appreciate your perspective, but I see things differently. This kind of communication fosters mutual respect and allows for more authentic relationships. It's also helpful to reflect on your motivations for people pleasing. Are you trying to avoid conflict, seeking approval, afraid of being perceived as selfish? By understanding the underlying fears or beliefs driving your behavior, you can begin to challenge them and develop healthier patterns. For instance, remind yourself that disagreement doesn't have to lead to conflict, and that saying no doesn't make you a bad person. Give yourself permission to prioritize your own need and desires. This is not selfish. It's essential for living a balanced and fulfilling life. When you take care of yourself, you have more to offer others from a place of genuine generosity rather than obligation or guilt. You also set an example for others, showing them that it's possible to be kind and considerate without sacrificing your own well-being. Overcoming the people-pleasing trap is not about abandoning kindness or disregarding others' feelings. It's about finding a balance that allows you to be kind to yourself as well as to others. By valuing your own needs, setting boundaries, and living authentically, you can build stronger, healthier relationships and create a life that aligns with your true self. Valuing your time and energy is one of the most important principles for living a fulfilling and balanced life. These are finite resources, and how you choose to spend them shapes the quality of your experiences, relationships, and achievements. Yet many people treat their time and energy as if they're unlimited, allowing others to dictate their schedules, taking on more responsibilities than they can handle, or investing in activities that don't align with their goals. Learning to prioritize and protect these resources is a key step toward creating a life that reflects your values and aspirations. Your time and energy are like currency. Every hour spent and the ounce of effort given is an investment. If you're not intentional about how you allocate them, you might find yourself constantly running on empty with little to show for it. The first step in valuing these resources is to recognize their true worth. Time is the one thing you can never get back. Once a moment is gone, it's gone forever. Similarly, your energy is not infinite. It needs to be replenished through rest, self-care, and activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. A common reason people struggle to value their time and energy is the belief that they must always be available to others. Whether it's saying yes to every invitation, taking on extra work, or constantly responding to messages, many people feel obligated to put others' needs before their own. While helping others and maintaining relationships are important, constantly prioritizing others at the expense of yourself is not sustainable over time. This pattern can lead to burnout, resentment, and a sense of losing control over your own life. To break this cycle, it's essential to set clear priorities. What truly matters to you? What activities, relationships, or goals bring you the most fulfillment and align with your values? When you're clear on your priorities, it becomes easier to make decisions about where to invest your time and energy. For example, if spending quality time with your family is a top priority, you might decide to decline certain social events or reduce overtime at work to make room for that. If pursuing a personal goal such as learning a new skill or starting a business is important, you'll need to carve out dedicated time and energy for it. Boundaries are a crucial tool for protecting your time and energy. Without them, it's easy for others to encroach on your resources, leaving you feeling stretched too thin. Boundaries allow you to define what you're willing and able to do as well as what you're not. For example, you might set a boundary around work emails, choosing to only respond during business hours, or you might limit how much time you spend helping others with tasks that aren't your responsibility. These boundaries aren't about being selfish. They're about ensuring that you have the capacity to focus on what matters most to you. Saying no is another essential skill for valuing your time and energy. Many people struggle with this because they don't want to disappoint others or appear unkind. However, every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're effectively saying no is to something that does. Learning to say no with confidence and kindness is a way of honoring your own needs while still respecting others. For example, you might say, I'd love to help, but currently focused on other commitments, or that sounds like a great opportunity, but it's not something I can take on right now. Valuing your time and energy also means being mindful of how you spend them in your daily life. It's easy to get caught up in habits or activities that don't add real value, such as excessive screen time, unnecessary meetings or tasks that could be delegated or eliminated. Conducting a time audit can help you identify areas where your time and energy might be leaking away. Once you're aware of these patterns, you can take steps to refocus on what truly matters. It's important to remember that rest and self-care are not luxuries. They're necessities, just as you wouldn't expect a car to run without fuel. You can't expect yourself to function at your best without taking the time to recharge. Valuing your time and energy means recognizing the importance of downtime and allowing yourself to rest without guilt, whether it's spending a quiet evening reading, taking a walk in nature, or simply doing nothing. These moments of rest are essential for maintaining your physical, emotional, and mental health. Valuing your time and energy also means surrounding yourself with people and activities that uplift and inspire you. Some relationships and commitments can be draining, while others are energizing and enriching. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with certain people or engaging in certain activities. Act these. If something consistently leaves you feeling depleted, it might be worth reevaluating whether it deserves a place in your life. Valuing your time and energy is about taking ownership of your life. It's about recognizing that you have the power to decide how you spend your resources and that you don't have to say yes to everything or everyone. By prioritizing what truly matters, setting boundaries, and giving yourself permission to rest and recharge, you can create a life that is not only productive, but also meaningful and fulfilling. Remember, your time and energy are precious. Treat them as such. Learning to say no is one of the most empowering skills you can develop in life. It's a simple word, but it carries immense power when used appropriately. For many people, say no can feel uncomfortable or even impossible. They worry about disappointing others, damaging relationships, or being perceived as unkind or uncooperative. However, the ability to say no is not about rejecting others. It's about honoring yourself, your priorities, and your limits. It's about creating space for what truly matters and ensuring that you're living authentically and intentionally. One of the biggest challenges people face when learning to say no is overcoming the fear of how others will react. Many people are conditioned to be agreeable and accommodating, equating a yes with being helpful, likable, or kind. However, constantly saying yes to things that don't align with your values, goals, or well-being can lead to frustration, burnout, and resentment. Over time, you may find yourself feeling overwhelmed by commitments that don't bring you joy or fulfillment, all because you were afraid to say no to begin. Embracing the power of no is important to shift your perspective. Saying no isn't about being selfish or dismissive. It's about being intentional. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to something that does. You're protecting your time, energy, and resources for the things that matter most. This shift in mindset can help alleviate some of the guilt or discomfort that often comes with declining requests. The first step in learning to say no is to identify your priorities. What are the most important aspects of your life? What goals or values do you want to focus on when you're clear about your priorities? It becomes easier to evaluate requests and opportunities. If something aligns with your priorities, it might be worth saying yes to, but if it doesn't, saying no becomes a way of staying true to yourself and your goals. For example, if your priority is spending more time with your family, you might choose to decline an extra work project or a social invitation that would take you away from them. Once you've identified your priorities, the next step is to practice clear and confident communication. Many people struggle with saying no because they over-explain, apologize excessively, or leave room for negotiation. While it's important to be polite, being overly apologetic or ambiguous can undermine your decision and make it harder for others to respect your boundaries. A simple and direct response is often the most effective. For example, you might say, "I appreciate the offer, but I can't commit to that right now," or "Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm not able to participate." It's also helpful to recognize that you don't need to provide the explanation for while it's natural to want to justify your decision, it's not always necessary. Over-explaining can make you feel like you're seeking permission to say no. Rather than asserting your boundaries, a concise and respectful response is usually enough. If someone presses you for more information, you can simply reiterate your decision without going into unnecessary detail. Another important aspect of saying no is managing your own emotions. It's normal to feel a twinge of guilt or worry when you decline a request. especially if you're used to being a people pleaser. However, it's important to remind yourself this: saying no is an act of self-care and self-respect. It's not your responsibility to meet everyone else's needs or to ensure that they're always happy by saying no. When necessary, you're taking control of your life and ensuring that your time and energy are spent on things that truly matter to you. It is also worth noting that saying no doesn't always have to be absolute. There are ways to decline a request while still offering support or showing understanding. For example, you might say, "I can't help with that right now, but I can recommend someone who might be able to, or I'm not able to take that on, but I'd be happy to help in a smaller way." Offering alternatives can show that you care, even if you're unable to fully meet the request. Practicing no in low-stakes situations can help build your confidence for more challenging scenarios. Start with small requests or situations where the outcome isn't as significant. As you become more comfortable asserting your boundaries, it will become easier to say no in more important or emotionally charged situations. Remember that saying no is a skill that improves with practice. It's okay to feel awkward or uncertain at first. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. And the more you'll experience the benefits of living in alignment with your priorities, you'll find that your relationships improve as others come to respect your boundaries, and you'll have more time and energy for the things that truly matter to you. Saying no is not about rejection, it's about intention. It's about taking ownership of your life, honoring your values, and ensuring that your actions reflect your true self. By embracing the power of no, you can create a life that is focused, fulfilling, and authentically yours. Standing up for yourself is one of the most empowering actions you can take. It's an act of self-respect and self-worth, demonstrating that you value your own thoughts, feelings, and needs as much as you value those of others. Yet many people find it difficult to assert themselves, often out of fear of conflict, rejection, or being seen as confrontational. However, learning to stand up for yourself is not about creating conflict. It's about expressing your truth in a way that honors your dignity and fosters mutual respect. One of the reasons standing up for yourself feels challenging is the societal pressure to be agreeable, accommodating, and selfless. From a young age, many people are taught to prioritize others' feelings over their own, to avoid making waves, or to keep the peace at all costs. While kindness and cooperation are valuable traits, they should not come at the expense of your own well-being. Constantly suppressing your needs or agreeing to things you're uncomfortable with can lead to resentment, frustration, and a sense of losing control over your own life. Standing up for yourself begins with self-awareness. To advocate for yourself, you first need to understand your own values, boundaries, and priorities. What matters most to you? What are you willing to tolerate? And what crosses the line? Taking time to reflect on these questions can help you gain clarity and confidence. When you know what you stand for, it becomes easier to communicate your needs and defend your choices. One of the key aspects of standing up for yourself is learning to communicate assertively. Assertiveness is not about being aggressive or domineering. It's about expressing your thoughts and feelings in a way that is clear, respectful, and direct. For example, instead of passively going along with something you disagree with or aggressively confronting someone, assertiveness involves calmly stating your position. You might say, "I understand your perspective, but I see things differently," or "I appreciate your input, but I need to make this decision based on what feels right for me." Assertive communication also involves using our statements to express how you feel without blaming or accusing others. For instance, instead of saying "you never listen to me," you could say, "I feel unheard when my ideas aren't considered." This approach focuses on your experience rather than placing blame, making it easier for others to understand your point of view without becoming defensive. Another important element of standing up for yourself is setting boundaries. Boundaries are essential for protecting your time, energy, and emotional well-being. When someone crosses a boundary, it's important to address it calmly but firmly. For example, if a colleague repeatedly interrupts you during meetings, you might say, "I'd appreciate it if I could finish my thoughts before we move on." While setting bound can feel uncomfortable at first, it's a vital part of maintaining healthy relationships and ensuring that others treat you with respect. It's also important to remember that standing up for yourself doesn't guarantee that others will always agree with or accept your perspective. Some people may react negatively, especially if they're used to you being more accommodating. However, their reaction is not a reflection of your worth or the validity of your stance. Standing up for yourself is about honoring your truth regardless of how others respond over time. Most people will come to respect your boundaries and appreciate your honesty. Confidence plays a significant role in standing up for yourself. If you doubt your own worth or feel unsure about your decisions, it can be difficult to advocate for yourself effectively. Building confidence takes time and practice, but it starts with recognizing your inherent value and believing that your voice matters. Celebrate your strengths, acknowledge your accomplishments, and remind yourself that you deserve to be treated with respect. It's also helpful to surround yourself with supportive people who encourage you to stand up for yourself and affirm your worth. Positive influences can make a big difference in building your confidence and reinforcing your sense of self. Conversely, if you're consistently around people who dismiss or belittle you, it may be time to reevaluate those relationships. Standing up for yourself doesn't mean you have to handle every situation perfectly. There will be times when you struggle to find the right words, feel nervous, or second guess your decisions. That's okay. The important thing is that you're making an effort to advocate for yourself and prioritize your needs. Every small step you take in standing up for yourself strengthens your ability to do so. In the future, practicing self-compassion is crucial throughout this process. Being assertive and standing up for yourself can be challenging, especially if it's not something you're used to. Be patient with yourself and recognize that growth takes time. Celebrate your progress, even if it feels incremental. And remind yourself that you're on a journey of self-empowerment. Standing up for yourself is about living authentically, and ensuring that your voice is about embracing your own worth and refusing to let fear or doubt silence you. By advocating for yourself with confidence and respect, you create a life that honors your values, fosters genuine connections, and reflects the person you truly are letting go of. Guilt is one of the most liberating and transformative steps you can take toward living a more balanced and fulfilling life. Guilt, while sometimes natural response to situations where you may have caused a harm or made a mistake, can often become a burdensome emotion that keeps you trapped in self-doubt, regret, or obligation. Many people carry guilt for things that are not their responsibility, or they allow it to dictate their decisions, preventing them from setting back boundaries, saying no, or prioritizing their own needs. Learning to release this unnecessary guilt is essential for your emotional well-being and personal growth. One of the first steps in letting go of guilt is to understand its root causes. Guilt often stems from a sense of obligation, societal expectations, or deeply ingrained beliefs about what it means to be a good person. For example, you might feel guilty for saying no to a request because you believe you're letting someone down or not meeting their expectations. Or you might feel guilty for taking time for yourself because you've been conditioned to think that self-care is selfish. Recognizing where your guilt comes from can help you determine whether it's valid, misplaced. It's important to differentiate between healthy and unhealthy guilt. Healthy guilt arises when you've genuinely done something that goes against your values or has hurt someone else. In these cases, guilt can serve as a useful signal, prompting you to reflect, take responsibility, and make amends. Unhealthy guilt, on the other hand, is often irrational or unwarranted. It might come from overextending yourself to please others, feeling responsible for things beyond your control, or trying to live up to unrealistic standards. Understanding this distinction can help you determine whether your guilt is serving a constructive purpose or holding you back. To let go of guilt, it's essential to reframe your mindset around responsibility and self-worth. One of the reasons guilt can feel so heavy is the belief that you are responsible for everyone else's happiness or approval. While it's natural to care about others and want to help, it's not your job to meet every need, fix every problem, or ensure that no one is ever disappointed. Accepting that you can't please everyone and that it's okay not to can be a freeing realization. It allows you to focus on what truly matters to you, rather than being weighed down by obligations that don't align with your values. Self-compassion is another powerful tool for overcoming guilt. Instead of judging yourself harshly for every perceived shortcoming or mistake, try treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. Remind yourself that it's okay to have limits, to prioritize your well-being, and to make decisions that might not always align with others' expectations. Self-compassion helps you see yourself as worthy and deserving of care, even when you're not perfect. Establishing and honoring your boundaries is a critical part of letting go of guilt. Many people feel guilty for setting boundaries because they fear being seen as unkind. selfish, or uncooperative. However, boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting your time, energy, and emotional well-being so that you can show up fully and authentically in your relationships. Commitments. When you set a boundary, you're not saying, I don't care about you. If you're saying, I care about myself, and I need to ensure I'm taking care of my own needs too. It's also important to challenge the unrealistic standards you may be holding yourself to. Perfectionism often fuels guilt as it creates an expectation that you must always do everything right, be everything to everyone, and never fall short. Recognize that perfection is unattainable and that striving for it only leads to unnecessary stress and self-criticism. Instead, focus on doing your best within the constraints of your capacity and give yourself permission to be human. Practicing mindfulness can help you release guilt by bringing your attention to the present moment. Guilt often keeps you stuck in the past, replaying what you should have done differently, or worrying about how your actions might affect others. Mindfulness encourages you to acknowledge these thoughts without judgment, then gently redirect your
focus to the here and now. By staying present, you can avoid getting caught up in cycles of rumination and self-blame. Another effective way to let go of guilt is to seek perspective. Talk to someone you trust, a friend, family member, or therapist who can provide an objective view of the situation. Sometimes sharing your feelings and hearing someone else's perspective can help you see that your guilt is unfounded or exaggerated. They might remind you that it's okay to prioritize yourself, to make mistakes, or to decline requests that don't align with your needs or values. Forgiving yourself is a crucial part of releasing guilt, especially if it stems from past mistakes or actions you regret. Holding on to guilt will not change the past or undo what has already been done, but it can prevent you from moving forward. Acknowledge the lessons you've learned, take responsibility where it's appropriate, and then give yourself permission to let go. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're excusing your actions. It means you're choosing to release the emotional burden and allow yourself to grow. Practice gratitude for the progress you've made. Letting go of guilt and embracing a healthier mindset. Celebrate the moments when you prioritize yourself without guilt, when you say no with confidence, or when you set a boundary and stick to it. These small victories are signs of your growth and your commitment to living a life that reflects your values and respects your well-being. Letting go of guilt is not an overnight process, but it's a journey worth undertaking. Each step you take toward releasing guilt allows you to live more authentically, free from the weight of unnecessary obligations and self-doubt. By honoring your own needs, embracing self-compassion, and setting boundaries, you create a life that feels more balanced, fulfilling, and true to who you are. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And make sure to subscribe for more money-making tips and powerful tools. I post new videos every week. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I always reply. Thank you for watching until the end. I'll see you in the next video. And if you have a moment, I'd love for you to check out the links below. Stoic Today is here to share content that helps you stay grounded, build confidence, attract wealth, and live a life of true success and fulfillment.